industry. So please welcome Lisa Marie, my beautiful one. Okay, thank you so much for
Thanks
coming
for
on the
having
show.
me.
I had Dad on last year or 2 years ago, I think, for Veterans Day.
Oh,
So it's
nice.
you know, uh, let's
Nice.
see. Tay says, "Hi, Mama Squandiddy." My nickname online is Squandered Octopus, and people shortened it to Squandy.
That's funny.
And
Okay.
Tay calls me Squandiddy. So she says, "Hi, Mama Squandiddy. Hi, Miss Mommy Marie, Lisa Marie." Clap, clap, clap. Holden Monty says, "Hey, you beautiful people." Well, I hope everyone's doing really well tonight. I hope everybody is cozy and comfortable. We're going to talk a little bit about the SVB takeover, what's been going on banking industry. With specifically wanted to talk to you about this, Mom, because when I was growing up, you were in the real estate business, and then later on in like middle school, high school age, you were in banking, like loan, credit union, all over, all over that industry, and worked for bigger banks and smaller banks. And so kind of tell me how you got started in real estate and how you moved to banking and your first credit union, kind of your history in that space.
Oh, so I had just moved to Jefferson County and was looking for a job. And in those days, you looked in the newspaper for a job, and they were hiring a receptionist at the local real estate company in Port Townsend. And so I applied and I got the position. And besides being the receptionist, I also helped put the ads together for the houses. Again, a main form of getting your what was for sale was in a publication, every 30-day publication. So I helped do that. And then
Like in the snail mail, you're talking like people got it delivered to their house, right?
right, or you
Yeah.
picked it up at a location of choice kind of thing.
Okay, so you're putting together those magazines that people get delivered. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and putting any houses for sale. And so that was in 1993. And then I got my real estate license in 1995. And then I went into working for a small credit union 2003. And the reason I did that is because I needed health insurance.
Right, because
And
as a real estate agent, you don't get healthcare, right? Because you're
correct,
not working for.
you're self-employed.
Yeah, that's so interesting. You
Yeah, so
can
the
be though. Like
local
if you worked for Windermere, did they have real estate agents that they do cover with healthcare at such a place like Windermere or some place? Is that how that works or no?
no, you have to get your own health insurance.
Okay. Dang, I didn't
Mostly, I
know
mean, there
that.
might be some smaller. Again, I haven't been in the business for over 20 years, so it's possible, but I don't know.
On
I
the
know
real
that
estate side, yeah.
you are a sole proprietor. You pay your dues, and meaning physical
Yeah.
dues, monetary dues to be a
Mm-hmm.
realtor. But at any rate, I'm not sure on that.
Okay. So you transitioned to working at a credit union. Did you go straight to being a loan officer that like I know you as, or did you do something else first?
So they hired me. They said, okay, you're going to wear all the hats in the bank, but we're going to hire you to be in the loan department. And we're
Okay.
building a new branch down in Port Hadlock, which was going to be closer to where we lived. And so that's what happened. I learned all the different, I learned to be a teller. I learned to, work in the vault, but I also learned loans for the first time, which then allowed me to jump and work for what became Kitsap Credit Union.
Okay.
And like you said, I did work for a few larger places. I worked for Wells Fargo for a hot minute. But I'm back at a small community bank,
Okay.
and those are just extremely different than what's happening in the industry right now with like SVB.
Right, because that SVB, from what I read, is like one of the top banks in the nation, if not the world, right? For like how much they
It was a
were.
big,
It was a big, like Bank of
yes,
America, not a little, a smaller credit union. And
right,
so you were in banking during 2008, right?
correct.
So you
And
experienced that whole
so,
thing. So was there
and
talk about
this,
that before? Like, did you have
yeah,
like there's kind of
yeah,
like talk at the banks like, hey,
yeah,
something's going on, this might happen before like
yeah,
normal people really got an idea?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah.
did you think '08 would be as bad as it was when it finally kind of came out about like how much that, and we were going to bail them, bail the banks out? Did you kind of have an idea of how big it was going to be?
I don't think so. I don't think anybody did, though,
Okay.
honestly. For me personally, it was made worse because we were in the middle of building a house, right? So if you didn't have to move in the market at all, if you could just stay status quo, you made it through that time. But if you had to do anything like where I was at, which was to get a takeout loan after a construction loan, um, that was what magnified that for me. But they're saying this Silicon Valley Bank takeover is the biggest thing since that, which they're calling the Great American or banking failure from
'08 or
2007.
this?
Both. This is the
Both, yeah.
biggest since. This is the biggest since the 2007 2008.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. I feel like it hasn't been enough time since 2008 for us to have had this happen again. You know? I feel like, how
Well,
did we
so
not learn?
this was this was big. So Silicon Valley Bank was a $200 billion bank. Most banks are not that large. I mean, that's like the
Yeah.
big guns in the industry. And
Because
they
oh,
would buy with their excess money from their clients investments and specifically long-term tech stocks. And one of their investors just decided they were out. They weren't going to invest anymore. So it crippled them.
and so what happens is that big investor pulls out, which has a like butterfly ripple effect, right? Where that scares other people and then they pull their money out, and then all of a sudden SVB doesn't have the money that they say they do digitally because you're a depositor. And so you try to withdraw and they can't give it to you, and that's what kind of caused this whole thing, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Now,
And it also was due to a macroeconomic environment
mhm,
where we had uh, such low interest rates and then suddenly high interest rates after such low interest rates. And that
okay,
kind of shocked it and made all the assets that people had in those long-term portfolios less valuable.
okay. I have a
So it just
question.
was a perfect storm.
Really? Okay, okay.
My favorite movie.
Is it your favorite movie? That's not your favorite movie.
One of
One
them,
of them.
yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
I do know you very much enjoy that movie. I think most, is it because of like it's full of the stereotypical rugged, dark hair, blue eyed man working hard.
No, I think it's the water part of it. I'm an Aquarius,
Really?
and I just think there's something about those scenes when they're so far out there and the very end with the big wave. I don't know. There's something about the water element of that movie that sparks what I say sparks joy or hits a
Yeah,
piece
it hits you in the
inside of you.
feels. Yeah.
It
Because
does
it's not
something
too
I don't know
scary for you.
why.
It's not like terrifying to imagine that, to see them out there. It's
It is.
thrilling.
Oh, it
But
is. It
it's
is.
yeah.
It's both. It is both.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I don't know. I love
Okay,
it.
so I have two questions. First, is it how normal is it for a bank to take that excess money and to use it on something like futures, on like what SVB was doing with their excess money? Is it normal for banks to use that money to try and gain wealth? Does the bank that you work for now do that?
Yes, it is common to do that. Banks are for profit.
Mm-hmm.
Banks want to pay out their um, investors, which is their clients that put their money into their accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And so my small community bank I work for, we lend it, right? So we have a portfolio of loans that we do that are backed by us, not the government. We don't sell them to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, VA, none of the govy loans. We hold them and we use our clients' money and we lend it to make more money for the bank, a for profit. Whereas like SVB, they did a risky endeavor. They took a long-term tech stock in a strange macroeconomic environment.
Gotcha.
It just was a roll of the dice, honestly.
Right. Okay. So that is a common thing to do. It's just that they chose riskier ways to use that money, to get money, to make money.
And it had been paying off though, right? It had been.
Right. Now,
it only takes one,
sure.
one bad apple.
So from what I can gather, this is my second question, is the larger banks are insured by the FDIC, and that's kind of why the FDIC was created, to insure depositors, because to make sure, like, if anything happens to this bank, because it's a privatized industry, say the bank goes out of business, you're covered by the government, right? And credit unions use a similar system, NCUA, is that what it is? NCUA. And
yeah.
is that pretty much a 1-for-1 with the FDIC just for credit unions, or do you know any of the distinct differences between those?
Well, they are very similar.
Okay.
And actually I can Google it, and I should know because I did work for a credit union. And
but without saying the name, the bank you currently work for is FDIC insured?
correct.
Okay, gotcha.
And I'll explain that because it's aggregated.
Oh yeah, see, what does that mean?
And it's different for business. Oops. Okay, so yeah, so the NCUA just covers credit union accounts, where the FDIC covers regular banking.
Is the amount still $250,000? Is that the max?
It is per person, per owner of that account. So
Now,
there are ways that it's structured that you can actually get more than the 250 if you have another joint owner on that account with you.
Oh, okay. I see. Now, you said something about it being an aggregate. So what does that mean?
Again, beneficial owners. So if you only have one and you have $350,000 in that account, one joint owner is only eligible for $250,000 FDIC insurance. If you had a joint owner, they would also have $250,000 insurance on that account.
See, same account, but multiple owners, therefore doubling the amount that's insured, because it's per
that's correct.
Per account.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So what happened with SVB then is that you have, because they are a huge bank in the tech bubble, basically in Silicon Valley, they were the bank for a lot of these small startup tech companies like DoorDash and Uber, and so you had a lot of depositors who have way more than $250,000 in their account, but they're using it for payroll. They're using it to pay their employees, and now SVB is using this excess money to make risky investments, and the market shifted where interest rates went through the roof. Their investments went bad. Investor pulls out, and then a bank run happens, and they don't have the cash to give the depositor. And what I'm wondering then, what my next question is there some sort of, I've heard of, there's a safety measure, some sort of policy in place that prevents this from happening, where a bank has to go through like a test to see, like, do you have enough capital to withstand a market shift like this? And so is there something like that in hand, or was there, or something like that?
No, I'm not sure about that. I mean, the FDIC, there are many checks and balances to say in business as a bank. I'm assuming one of those ties to the fact that you stay FDIC insured is by following all the policies and guidelines that you're given as a bank, or you wouldn't be able to be FDIC insured.
Okay. And the other difference too between this and 2008 is the taxpayers helped in 2008. What's the term they call it? Bailout, or whatever. That people are saying that this isn't technically a bailout because taxpayers are not facing the brunt of it, but this is all coming from the government, which is about, I don't remember what the total is, but it's in the 158 to 200 billion dollars. And so is that technically still a bailout? Right?
It's coming from, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, it's coming from the FDIC.
Mm-hmm.
And the FDIC is backed by the United States of America. So yeah, it's coming from us.
But I'm not gonna get taxed to help pay off these banks. It's not coming from my money, which is good.
No. Will it have a trickle-down theory? Who knows?
Right.
Because then look at what happened at the Credit Suisse, right? So then you had that weirdness happen there too, similar to SVB.
And there was another bank too. So it was two total,
yeah, there
right?
was one other one. I can't think of the name of it.
I can't either.
Yeah, so it got a little nerve-wracking. People started getting nervous, but for small community banks, they're not seeing a run on their money, or people, running in droves with their money from the bank to put it under their mattress. It's just not really happening now. If you're a high dollar client, like which I'm calling our high dollar clients and saying hi, want to just see if you're okay. Do you have any questions? Make sure they don't want to move their money around to keep all of their funds 100% FDIC insured. Again, we're not in any risk. We're very well capitalized where I work, but just reaching out to people.
Interesting. So they have you calling, making sure that high value clients are feeling safe and not too much. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, my job is relationship manager.
Really? Interesting. That's what you do all the time anyways, really.
Right. My job is to make conversations with my clients.
It's very interesting. I didn't even know that was a job.
Right? But really, I've come to find out I'm also running a bank branch, and doing home loans. So
yeah, kind of doing
it. Wearing a few hats.
Wes is in the chat. He says, "Greetings, comrade." Greetings, Wes. So basically, that's what you're saying. What you're saying is, like, I don't have to worry. We shouldn't worry. Us normies with your regular bank, we should be fine. This is a billionaire problem, and honestly, like a government solution. It's kind of being handled. Well, like you said, we'll see if there's any kind of trickle down effect, but we should be fine, which is good because I think a lot of people, it scared a lot of people. You say 2008, crisis again, and people think recession. People kind of.
Well, and like I said, they are saying it's the worst crisis we've had since 2007, 2008. So it is marked,
So I found the information that I was looking at earlier about the regulation. There used to be a regulation where a bank would have to, if you had over $50 billion, you would have to perform a stress test every year or two to make sure that you could handle a up or down, market increase or decrease. And it looks like in 2018, Trump and some of the bigger banks like Chase and SVB were campaigning to remove those restrictions. Basically, it was a stress test regulation implemented after 2008 to prevent this kind of thing from happening again. And in 2018, Trump and a bunch of banks, came together and paid a bunch of money, and they got rid of that regulation. And there's footage of Bernie Sanders talking about how this is a terrible idea, and how analysts have said that big banks like SVB, he specifically says SVB in 2018, like this is a very strong possibility that this could be bad for them and that we would experience another 2008. And then 2023 happens, and here we are. Without that regulation, they didn't have to do the stress test, and look what happened. So I find that very interesting, how, and kind of just gross, how like these politicians and banks can work together to benefit their bottom line. And then it's fine because either we're going to bail them out with our taxpayer money or the government's going to bail them out. It's really upsetting when you think about it like that.
It is.
It's a bummer. But okay. Well, really good information. I really didn't know whether or not it was normal. For some reason, I had thought that it was abnormal for banks to take their excess money and try to, but when you put it in terms of like that banks are for profit, it kind of makes sense that somehow. Do you think like ultimately banks being privatized and for profit is a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, since I work for one, I'll say good.
Sure. Okay. Fair enough.
Oh gosh, that's a deep question, Aaron.
I'll take the heat off of you on that one. You don't have to answer that question, but it's what also really bothers me about this whole thing is that the government is coming out of nowhere with $200 billion.
Right. That's what I'm a little concerned about. Yeah.
The government is coming out of pocket with this money to bail these banks out and to get rid of that. When, like, literally just like a couple months ago, we were fighting for tuition forgiveness, debt forgiveness for college students, which would have been $58 billion, a quarter of what it would take to bail these banks out, to essentially bail out students who shouldn't have debt in the first place. And it would be paid for by the taxpayer. We would be paying for it. And still it was no, people don't want this. People don't want it to repay taxes. It's a handout. We don't want it out. But when it's these banks, it's like, sure, yeah, give them 200 billion. It's fine. But when it's students, when it's us, when it's, higher education that costs an arm and a leg, it's not okay. We don't have the money for that. And that really bothers me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I do, and I can't say you're wrong. Yeah, I think if you go the other direction, though, that's a whole nother can of worms. And I don't know if I'd want to go that direction either.
Of forgiving student debt?
Like if you made all banks not for profit and for the masses,
But what
that's
if
a whole nother.
What if the government just handled all banking? It wasn't privatized. There were government facilities where they housed our money and we took it out when we needed it, and it wasn't for profit. Like, does anything really break down in that scenario? Like, as far as the user experience, my experience, your experience, if instead of a CEO at the top of this bank trying to min-max, get the most profit out of it while housing my money, I kind of just want the bank's responsibility to be like, hold my money for me, and that's it. I don't need you to try and use my money while you're holding it to make yourself more. You know what I mean? There's something like wrong about
paying you
that.
too.
They're paying me too.
You're getting paid too. I mean, you can put your money into a time CD, a money market, a checking, and earn money on your money because it isn't
I see.
what you're saying, which is privatized.
Okay.
And
that's basically like, as the bank makes more money, is it based on like if the bank's stock shares go up, then I get money, or is it how much money the
that's
bank?
only if you're a stockholder.
Right. Okay.
You
Sure.
don't get money on the shares if you have to be a stockholder for that.
But
And
if I have a
and
checking
so
account, sorry, go ahead.
then you can earn money on your checking account or your CD, or whereas if you went to the operating the way you were saying, where it is privatized and you just go in and get your money, there would be no profit to share.
Sure. Okay. Get that.
So is it all about consumerism? Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. I mean,
The
yeah.
almighty dollar.
Well, that's why it's called capitalism, right? It's about capital is the driver of everything. Everybody needs to either be a work owner or a worker, It's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
But this stream, The Cozy Communist, is about how that's not the way it is, or it doesn't have to be. I think a lot of people think that is the way it is and that's how it has to be. And to a certain extent, you do have to live in it. You have to exist in it. But my hope is that with conversations like this about, some of the large faults that can happen in the privatized banking industry and just talking about how the government is 100% willing to bail out banks and give $200 billion to banks and not give $50 billion to some of its, poor, broke students, I think says a lot about our country. I think it says a lot about how we prioritize things. And maybe, Vivian's generation will have that. Maybe we have AOC, we have Ilhan Omar, we have Bernie, but maybe, in Vivian's generation, we'll have half a cabinet of people that think like that. Because I really think, I don't know, I don't really see the defense of how our current system puts human life first. And that's what I want. I want ultimate happiness, ultimate comfortability for every human life on the planet. Ultimately. So how do we do that? And capitalism just isn't the answer. Our current system is not. You can't. The one of the biggest things people say is about communism is that, well, do you want to, look at how many people died under, the USSR and Russia, as if like 10 times that amount have died under capitalism. It's as if, they say that as if it's a, single event, like communism caused this many deaths, but like, look how many deaths happen every day now, currently. That's like, it's so much worse. So what do you mean? It just, capitalism puts people on the street, and this is a perfect example of showing that the way capitalism works is that pain and suffering and hurt, struggle is socialized. Everybody has to help with that. When the banks and the CEOs are in trouble in 2008, we had to pay taxes to bail them out, right? Not granted, that's not happening in this scenario, which I think is ultimately a good thing, but when there's a success, when it's happiness, when it's profit, it's limited, it's privatized to the top. So like the negative impacts of capitalism are socialized and the positive aspects of capitalism are privatized, and this is a perfect example of that. And soapbox.
Well, if they did not bail this out, it would deteriorate the trust Americans have in the full banking system. So they have no choice.
Right.
But it's
True.
only to the end of keeping capitalism going, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the question is, like, given 2008, given this, is like, should we trust the banking system? And the answer, I think, is at the very top, maybe not all the time, but from what I can, and this is why I'm really, really glad you came on, is that it sounds like the smaller banks, the credit unions, and even just smaller FDIC banks are very trustworthy, and they're not, making nefarious, risky deals with billions of dollars, which is really good to hear, because this can kind of cast a shadowy umbrella over the banking industry, and like you said, cast doubt on a lot of things, and we shouldn't lose faith in the banking industry because it's not all that bad.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Looks like we have no. While we have I want to keep you for about 10 more minutes, and I wanted to do a fun little game, a mom and son game.
Okay.
Okay, so, and this is not politics related at all. This is just kind of a. So I want to see how good you are at remembering or knowing pop culture from my childhood. So things that you should have been around, music I listened to, shows that I watched. Can you name them, kind of thing. So do you know what was my favorite band in high school? Number one.
Oh shoot, hold on.
And do you remember when I bought some clothes to look exactly like him for freshman year?
Blink 182.
There you go. Nicely done. Very
Yes,
good.
I do.
That's why I have this tattoo, which you hate because it's off center. I'm going to get it filled in one of these years. I think about it all the time. Every time I look at this, I think of
what
how
color are you
tell
going to put in there?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to color it or keep it open like. Tay says she's like, I know this. Oh my
I
gosh.
know.
I
I
love
was like,
yeah.
oh.
That was good. That was good. Okay. What is the name of the extreme sports video game that I was a big fan of, child? And I also did this extreme sport quite a lot.
Skateboarding with Tony Hawk.
Okay. So what was the game called?
Tony Hawk's skateboarding game.
Very close. Very close. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Very
Okay.
close. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Finish the name of this television show title. Boy Blank World.
Meets World.
Nice. Very good. I watched that a lot. That was let's see. I actually didn't think you would get a lot of these. So this is pretty good. Let's see. Oh, do you know what my first concert that I went to was when I was 16? And I had to ask your permission because we were driving. They were two of the biggest bands at that time.
Oh, no, I don't know.
Foo Fighters.
Oh, was one of your first?
That was my very first one at the Key Arena.
Wow. Oh, that's right. I did know that. Okay.
It was a big deal because I was driving to Seattle with my friends without parents, without adults. Nobody was going, so it was a big deal. Then we went back to Cody's house afterwards and we hot tubbed, and it was one of the best nights of my life.
Oh, that's cool.
Let's see. Oh, what was my first car that we went to Bremerton? No, was it Bremerton? Right past Silverdale. You know that like auto zone area where there's like 9 dealerships? We drove there to get it. You did the whole dealing for me. And we went and grabbed it. Do you remember what that vehicle was?
Oh, I want to say the Dodge.
It was before the Dodge.
Yeah. Explorer.
That's right. Ford Explorer. I think you picked it out too. You just said, "Here, I got you this," or like we got this one, and you figured the
I
loan
think
out and
so.
everything.
It was like super clean inside. It was like,
Yep.
yeah.
Very good. Oh, Caleb, my friend Caleb is in the stream. He says, "Mama Diddy." Everyone calls me Diddy.
That's funny.
All right. Well, that was really,
Okay, so what
really
was
fun.
my favorite band when you were growing?
Okay, this is perfect. I was hoping you were going to spin it around on me because I was thinking about these. So it could be a number of things, but I think that there is a number one. Dave Matthews. Right?
Yes. In fact, I just bought a sticker to put on my car.
Did you? So you're still like Dave all day, every day. But when was the last? When was the last gorge that you went to of his? Because you used to do that every year.
Well,
has it been?
Gosh, 20 years probably. Yeah.
Is that something that you would still be
Danielle
into?
still goes. Danielle goes every Labor Day.
Have you ever wanted to go? Is that something that you would still be into, or are you kind of like over it?
I don't think so. Although the gorge is beautiful, but no, probably not.
It's kind of a lot. It's like
it's a lot.
not just the drive, but even there, it's like, it is, it's relaxing. Of course, you have some drinks, you have some whatever extracurricular activities, but like, it's kind of a lot when you go to the gorge for like a weekend thing like that. It's kind of relaxing, but it isn't at the same time. It's kind of stressful.
Right.
So yeah, there was that. Dude, one of my memories ingrained in my brain is all the windows open, the slider open, the front door open on Fernway, and that big stereo blasting either Dave Matthews, Train, Counting Crows, or Oh Brother, Where Art Thou soundtrack. There was a good year or two where all you listened to was the Oh Brother, Where Art Thou soundtrack. Like, I swear. Maybe it was just a summer, but it was a long time.
Yeah, I was famous for the repeat.
Yeah. But then, eventually we got a little John Mayer, a little Jack Johnson in there, kind of changed it up there. But yeah, door open, 80-degree Washington day, listening to Counting Crows and stuff is like a ingrained memory. Okay. Let's see. We have some questions. We need to have a young Aaron story. Glam Rocker says, hey. Tay says more trivia. Let's see. K-Nub agrees we need to get a young Aaron story. Yes. A time Aaron lied to you and you knew he was lying. Or your favorite story of when he was little. Okay, so a little story and then a time where I was lying and you knew it.
Oh my gosh. Well, you were just so sweet when you were a baby. We went to a mommy and me swim class and I guess it was mommy and me swim class and you were like 6 months old and this other kid just came up and kind of splashed you and you just looked at him and just didn't even think about splashing back or being a jerk back. You definitely were tough on your sister.
Oh, really? On Reba?
Yes.
Okay.
I
mean, she was tough on me, to be honest.
And she was a lot to live with.
Yeah. I feel like I learned to live in the back.
I think the time that I knew you were lying is anytime you left with what was his name? We called him Eddie Haskell.
Chris Lofton.
Anytime
I probably shouldn't have last named him, but yeah. Anytime I was hanging out with him.
Yeah, it was a lie. Total lie.
Pretty much. Yeah, spot on that one. You know what really ruined it is when I didn't go one time. I actually told the truth and I stayed home instead of going to like a party. And then they called what they thought was my cell phone, but was actually our home phone at like 2 a.m. and one of you guys picked up and I got a earful the next morning about that. Osborne's says so sweet. And yeah, welcome. So yeah, that was a time that I lied to you. Anytime I would hang out with him. Yeah. You know, the nice thing though is we didn't commit any crimes. We never hurt anybody. Like, sure, we consumed alcohol. We did drugs, but nothing serious. It was weed and it was beer and it was everything else a 16-year-old would do, but we never did anything nefarious. We just like hung out in someone's room or someone's garage and we were always safe. We never ever let one of our friends drive. We were always very careful about that. And whenever some of them were dead set on doing it, and like, some of my friends that have MIPs and like DUIs and stuff, and it was it was so looked down upon. It was so shamed in our little friend group. Something that I was proud of. We were stupid, but we weren't so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Okay. Well, Mom, thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
It was really, really fun and actually so informative. And I hope something like this happens again, honestly, so we can bring you back on.
Oh,
I hope
yeah,
so.
and even maybe the DNA thing. Come on about the DNA.
I would love that. Let's do it.
Interesting. All right, put me on the books. Have your people call my people.
Will do. Okay, have a great night. I love you.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Mama Nubs. Lamb Rocker, what is up? How are you guys? He is sweet. This was great. Thanks for coming on. Yes. Yes. She seems so pure. Lamb Rocker, how you doing? Too cute. Osborns, thank you so much, you guys, for showing up. Lamb Rocker and Osborns, I really appreciate you. You guys are too sweet. Nubs, Tay, Wes, you guys. Cozy Communism's doing well. We got our first guest on the books. You were hoping for a more embarrassing story. Well, maybe we'll have to have her on again for another embarrassing story. Yeah, it wasn't very specific because the guy that I hung out with was so shady. So it makes sense that she knew we were lying though. Sorry though. James, you did. She just logged off. It was so great. It was a really fun interview. Yeah, it's okay though. Damn, Bungie. Just in the nick of time. It was too legit to quit. Appreciate you guys being here. Yeah, basically the sum of the story is big banks are sometimes shady, but the banks that we bank with for the most part and at our level of wealth, most people in the chat I would say are going to be fine. We're going to be fine. And the banking industry is not crumbling like it was. It is the closest thing to 2008 that we've had, but it's not going to be as bad, I think. It was a really good, insightful conversation on kind of the banking and lack of wealth, more like. Yeah, I know. Oh shit. Yeah, I think I might just hang out here for a while bit, just kind of talk. There was a couple of videos that I watched, but I'm having trouble remembering. I had a crazy day today. We'll do a little personal news update since we jumped right into the interview. Crazy day today. Kiara's sick and Vivian is sick. So I slept on the couch, woke up to a text saying, Vivian didn't let me sleep from Kiara. Vivian didn't let me sleep. I'm super tired. I feel like dog shit. I need you to get her ready and brush her hair and take her to the bus. So I'm like, cool. So take her to the bus. Well, I don't. I get her ready. I say, look out the window because you can see the bus stop from my office window. I go, look for people. It's pouring down rain. So we know when someone's waiting, then we can go wait. But only one person shows up. And usually there's like 6 kids and their moms and dads and stuff. So like it's just one person. And I'm like, okay, let's just wait a little longer. And Nobody else shows up, and all of a sudden I'm working and she goes, the bus is here, and I'm like, shit. So I grab a backpack, I grab her like a football, I run down the stairs, I open the door, I slam the door, I run out there, and by the time I get out to like the sidewalk there, the bus is taken off. So we missed it. I had to fucking go take the car, wait in line, drop her off manually. Work sucks. I know. Everyone finished the song now. Yep, all the small things. She left me roses by the stairs. Surprises let me know she cares. It's funny that you say that, because one of the trivia questions I asked my mom is what my favorite band in high school was, and she... But yeah, so then I rush her to school, come back, get a little work done, because I haven't gotten any work done. We had a meeting that I almost missed. I had to like pop in to like the last 5 minutes of it, which was terrible. And fucking... So yeah, then I get her out the door, get her to school. I have an appointment with my new therapist, who doesn't show up at 11, so I have to email them and figure that out. Had to make a new doctor's appointment. Then I got some work done, and then I played. Then it got really relaxed. Then I played GTA with friends. Just feel kind of scatterbrained today. So I know that there's videos that I wanted to watch, but I don't remember. We're gonna have to watch them next. Still watching One Piece. I am going through Nami's backstory. So her backstory with like her surrogate mom and her sister, and now the government wants her treasure back, and she's like really close to getting 100 million treasure. But now like the government seizing it, so she's fucked. It's getting pretty good. Luffy's there now though, so I figure he's gonna save the day. I think my favorite character so far still is Sanji. I was leaning Zoro for a little bit, but I'm going Sanji. I think Sanji's the best because he's cool, he's super powerful with his long leg kicks, and he can cook. He's got a cool little cigarette, and I think it's really cute how much he loves Nami. If he gets creepy with it though, then I might change. But right now he's really just like obsessed with her. He doesn't really. I'm pretty sure he doesn't really know that much about her though. He's like a Brock. I could see that. Yeah. I could see him being a Brock. How much One Piece have you watched, Nubs? I know that Wes is in like the 100 episode range. This is 315-ish. Nice. Watched none, read a lot. Okay, well, how much have you read? I was thinking about reading. I don't know. I'm really enjoying this. Okay, spoilers. I don't know about no time leap. What the fuck? Yeah, the whole crew really is great. And honestly, it still feels like they're still like getting everyone together, you know, because it's like we're getting Nami's story about why she wants Navigator and like her whole backstory with that. And it's just kind of cute that like everybody's skill set works for the grand line and going to find the treasure, but like all these little stories kind of bringing them together. Such a cute show, but also like super devastating. Like when Nami was kind of being like a bitch to her mom, or like surrogate mom or whatever, and then we find out what her mom had to do, like what she did for them, It's kind of like, it's like heavy, dude. Chapter 597. Oh, wow. Damn, that's pretty deep. That's pretty deep. That's like where Hassan is. The show. Damn. Okay, well, now I know there's a time leap, so. Yeah, that's been really fun. You know, I watched, yeah, Zorro seems to be everyone. He's pretty cool. Goofy when he's serious is crazy. I think Wes is right. The whole crew is just great. Very good question. How did I like the Diablo 4 beta? I liked it a lot. And I'm excited to, let's see. So I really should have tried the other characters this weekend, but I only tried Sorcerer. I wish I had tried Barbarian, but I'm excited for this next week. I'm going to try all of them. It plays well. It's got everything that you'd want a new Diablo to. It's got everything that I wanted a new Diablo to be. It's a little more dark, more serious story. It's less over saturated, like, you know, color palette wise, and graphics are great. It played great. I just didn't want to get so deep into it because I know I'm not going to keep any of this stuff. Not Digger Barb. Can't fucking spell. Dude, I tried to grind to level 20 last night and I just couldn't stay up anymore. Made it to 17. Dang, I forgot to check what level I am. I think I was like level 20. Can I see now? Probably not, huh? How would I know if I unlocked that little pet? It won't reset this weekend? Like, the beta will continue. Oh, you can pick it up. But so are all 6 characters playable this weekend, or are only the other 3 playable? Barb was alright. Boss fights are rough. Oh, see, I thought they were switching so then the other 3 would be available. Oh, okay. So only 3 were available for early access, but all 6 will be available for the... And you can just pick it up. But none of those character stuff is going to keep to the full release, is it?
Am I allowed to come in here and talk?
Of course. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just wasn't sure if you were like kind of like keeping it solo.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I was playing the Barbarian, and it's a lot different. It's definitely different than, but I forgot I was playing on Veteran too. I got really pissed off quite a few times on boss fights. Boss fights were driving me up the fucking wall in Diablo 4.
Really? They weren't that bad for me.
Dude, I think it has to do with... Because most of your spells are long range, right? I think it has to do with me being close range and being in there. It was fucking stressful because, like, there is so much CC shit in, like, the boss have so much fucking CCs. They always have an ability that makes you slow. They have a knockback ability that gets you so you're not next to them. And then you're always I have to constantly be moving and dodging vulnerability, little missiles that are flying around the map. And when I'm speed, it drove me absolutely fucking insane.
Yeah, I can see how that would be frustrating.
And I probably have to figure out how to build my characters a little bit better because, like, I was running around and I was like doing everything and I just couldn't fucking survive. I was like getting my ass just So there was a few fights where I think I went like I would die like 4 times before I finally beat him.
Jeez.
So
did you end up switching to the other mode?
No, I
the
stayed with
easier
veteran the whole time,
difficulty.
all the way to 25. It seems the game has definitely been set up for the game has definitely been set up for controller. Like you can already feel it, well, and the crazy thing is it already feels like it is tuned for controller first and keyboard second.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is the first time I've played a Diablo game where that was the case, and I'm not gonna lie, it kind of pissed me off.
Dude, they put the development and research into Reaper of Souls work on console, and they just nailed it. It just works.
Yeah.
And I think it works way better than Point.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily. I don't know if I like that.
Why?
But it's fine.
But why though?
Dude, to me, I'll probably have to play it, but I like mouse keyboard. I like the point and click. That was like that's how I remember Diablo. So it's like for me, it's like I'll have to change and figure it out. But like,
yeah, it's just change.
Because like the whole when I have to like press E and get the little spinny wheel, I was like, fuck, dude, I hate spinning wheels so much because that's such a like. If I'm playing on a computer, I don't want to play with a fucking spinning wheel. The spinning wheel is amazing for a controller. So you know, like when you press and hold E, you get all the little emotes and you can decide which direction, like you know. Yeah, that's straight controller. That works really good for controller. It's such a fucking waste of time for a keyboard when I have buttons to pick from. Like
I got you.
You do that as a controller because you don't have enough buttons to choose from, so you have to do a little whatever the wheel is called. What's the wheel called?
Yeah, okay. So it's definitely made for consoles.
Definitely made for consoles first. I thought the story was great. I liked tons of side quests. I liked the feel of it. The more I played it, the more I realized it was just it's more of a copy of Lost Ark than I thought it was.
I don't think it's a copy. I think that it's been how many years since Diablo 3? It's like they just took features that are in the genre now and add because
exactly. It feels to me it feels very Lost Arky. Like it has some things that aren't Lost Ark, but like it feels like when I played Lost Ark, it feels like I got to a certain point where I was like, oh my god, I'm playing Lost Ark. Like that's how I felt. I didn't like it didn't feel. It was Diablo for sure, but it lost a little bit of that old school Diablo feel. But I gotta remember, it's like we're updating to, like you said, new genres and what genres do nowadays.
Yeah, honestly, I would be pissed if it felt like Diablo 3.
Exactly like it. Yeah, I agree.
But it seems like they took the kind of more eccentric leveling system from Path of Exile, which I think is cool because I think the level up mechanic from 2 and 3 are just kind of like boring to look at. And this is a little more interesting. It gives a little more variety, but it's also not completely obnoxious like there's 19,000 things.
Yeah.
It's a little more contained, but it looks. And then like the jumping and like I don't know. It's just a fucking aesthetic thing to say like I'm gonna leap over this or climb up this or climb down this. It just makes the world feel alive. That's all. What are you doing? You're pressing circle, like or whatever the prompt is.
Yeah. And then there's also look points now, which I thought was kind of cool. Like you went to one point where you could looked over like a lake, which I thought was kind of cool.
That's true. I like the cinematic cutscene like camera, how it zooms in. Hi Starry. We're cozy communisting. That's what we're up to. Oh well, now we're talking about.
Yeah.
Wes wanted to know how progression and leveling was, and I thought it was like longer. Slower than a season, but because obviously with seasons it's fast, but it's definitely
definitely slower. Yeah, definitely slower. I kind of hate that you can't pause the game. It's definitely not a single player game anymore. It's built MMO.
Yeah, I know. I hate that even if I'm playing myself and I hit pause, it
doesn't do anything because you're always in an open world. I like finding like the strongholds are super fucking cool. The dungeons, going in the dungeons, it definitely feels like you can play solo. But I played 25 levels of solo, and to be honest, I was pretty done after 25, getting to level 25. I was like, I can not play this game for a while and I'd feel okay. Yeah, I definitely think I'd enjoy it a lot more with people than playing with a group because it got pretty boring by yourself after a while.
I didn't get bored, but I definitely think that I would have more fun with friends, but I would play both. Mm-hmm. I'll probably have like a solo character and a with friends character. Mm-hmm. It fully comes out. Kind of feels like they did the Destiny thing where it's like, yeah, it is single player, but you'd need to play with people to beat this.
Yeah. There was, like I said, just a few times there was a few bosses which I like absolutely pissed me off. I really missed. Well, I'm also level 25. That's the other thing I'm thinking about. I'm like, I missed the life on hit. There's no. I couldn't find anything that's life on hit. But I'm like, I'm also playing level 25, so it's like, what's max level? 60 max level in this game?
55.
Because right now, the only way to heal is a pot. That's the only way to heal.
Right. Yeah, they changed it so like they would drop healing globes. Enemies would drop healing globes. You would walk over them and they would just heal you. But now you have a certain number of healing pots you can hold. But there's like a 5-second cooldown instead of a like 45-second cooldown. Yeah. It's kind of interesting.
It's definitely a learning curve on my part because I was definitely trying to play it like Diablo 3. Considering we just played it like a month ago or a couple weeks ago, I was trying to play it like Diablo 3, which you cannot play like Diablo 3.
I think, well, yeah, you can't play like end game season Diablo 3 at all. But I do like the changes to enemies and their AI and like their move sets because it does make it makes maneuverability more of a thing. You can't just like go in ass first and expect to live.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't. That was one thing I had to learn pretty quickly. Is like, and that's what I was saying with boss fights. It's like, man, I have to really move and navigate. I have to, because I'm like, especially like there's this one boss fight where they sent out these missiles and they were like, they would be rotating like kind of off counterclockwise, and she would send multiple missiles and they would spin around, and I had to like dance around these missiles to not make sure I get vulnerable. And I was like, don't want to get vulnerable. And I'm dancing around these missiles. And then I get up right next to her. And as I'm getting up to her, I hit this beam. The beam slows me down. So now I'm trying to dodge these missiles like super slow. And I was like, dude, so movement's a big part of the game. That's good because in the original game, especially I think 1, 2, and 3, movement was not a thing.
You kind of just go in and attack and then maybe retreat. But this is like dodging, making sure you have the cooldown on your dodge, ready. You can't spam it.
You can find potions. There's potions. A lot of potions drop from chests. Some monsters will drop them in boss fights. Each boss fight has like 4 checkpoints. And when you hurt the boss enough times, they'll drop 2 potions. So if you're already down a few, then you can pick them up. So you had to hurt them enough, and then they'll drop potions when you hurt them more. But if you die, the boss life resets, which I think is pretty regular. Mm-hmm. There was like 2 or 3 fights where I literally had like 2 or 3 hits left on the boss, and he freaking killed me. And I was like, damn it. Shouldn't have burned him. I tried to burn him down.
We had Viv this weekend too, so it wasn't until beta. I'll have more time. I'll probably
Did
try
you buy
to
it?
see all of them. Huh?
Did you buy it? Or do we get access for both weeks?
It's open. This weekend's open.
Oh, open. It's open. Anybody can play.
Yeah, it's closed early access this one. I mean, they're like Diablo bosses. Like they have phases and special attacks. And they've always been kind of like MMO bosses. They definitely went full swing on the MMO.
Yes, they did. Mounts. They're gonna do mounts. Mounts are definitely MMO.
Yeah, because it's more of an open world too.
Yeah.
The lighting was cool. I thought like nighttime snow mountain area looked cool, and then like in break, and I had a cool snow.
I'm digging Kyoto. I'm digging that town. It's kind of like a Russian, like Russian vibe. Overall, like I said, I played at level 25. I went from level 8 to level 25 yesterday. I think I played from I must have played for like 8 hours, 9 hours.
No wonder you were sick of it.
That's the other reason why I was sick of it. So I'm not. But the thing about it is, I played it. I was getting really done by the end of it. By the end of it, I was like, I am so fucking done with this game. But then I was also playing a class I didn't want to play. I really want to play Druid.
I kind of felt that way about the Sorcerer. I kind of felt like I got to level 2, and I was like, man, can't wait to play the other class, because I just wasn't loving it.
Which class do you want to play? Do you want to play Necromancer?
I think I want to try the, I think my main character, when it fully comes out, is going to be
Well, and that's the other cool thing that I was thinking about with the trees being so the talent trees being so expansive. We could play completely 2 different druids, and
exactly. So it's not as big of a deal if you're like, I need to be something else.
Yeah. So
you kind of play them different.
I think I want to play I remember playing Diablo 2, and there's 2 different types of druids I played, and I liked both of them. One was like the whole werewolf fury druid, where the more you attack, the faster you got, and so you just run up and start attacking super fucking quick at somebody. But then I also like summoning the bear and being like a summoning druid, where I summoned all these pets that run out. So
that's the one I did.
I'm interested to see what there is, because but the druid's definitely the one I want to play.
Second choice would probably be Necromancer.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be a fan favorite. I don't know how I didn't know this, but do you know who Rathma is, or have you heard the name Rathma?
Yeah.
So I didn't know Rathma was the firstborn of Inarius and Lilith.
I didn't know that.
I knew Rathma was the first necromancer. I didn't know he was the firstborn.
Crazy. What does that mean, though? Just interesting.
It's just interesting. Yeah, I didn't know, so technically he's the first one born of the children of, he'd be the first Nephilim ever. So he's like the Adam of that world.
Huh. Crazy.
Interesting.
Well, I gotta tell you, I think I'm gonna call it early.
That's
make
good.
this a super short one. Probably, I think I'm gonna automatically upload this one to you, though, just to save it. Me and my mom.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of feeling kind of tired. My communism is kind of within, and I can't really get it out at the moment. But hopefully next week we'll be back watching some videos. I think this was a super, super fun little.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
But yeah, it's gonna be a short one for me.
Yep.
You have
All good,
class?
man.
Okay, perfect. Let's
Who do you want to raid?
raid. Who is...
I got Ox. I got C. I got Rob, Gendred, Casual.
Endo. Thank you. It was a very good episode. Oximus Prime. All right. Thank you for coming to the very special episode of Cozy Communist. Our first guest, Mama, was very sweet. Learned a lot about the banks. We're going to be okay. But maybe we should have privatized, or maybe we should have socialized banking. Who knows?
Socialized banking.
All right. Good night, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.
Night.
James should be back. We'll see what happens. Bye.
Hopefully, everything works. Very long.